Hello, everyone. Welcome along. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's the number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show with me, your host, Nigel Seeley, looking ahead to a special edition this week with the Wimbledon Championship. It's the third Grand Slam of 2024. And did I just say, joining me to look ahead at the runners and the riders and what is a very lopsided draw is our senior ATP Tour handicapper. It is Sean Calvert. Good afternoon to you, Sean.
Good afternoon. And happy birthday, I should say, as well. A little birdie told me.
Yeah, thank you very much. It is my birthday today. I don't like to talk about it. It's come to an age where you don't really want to discuss your birthday anymore, but it is my birthday.
It's just nice to be acknowledged. You know, people will, I'm sure people in the comments will say happy birthday, Nigel. And there you go. That'll make you feel good, won't it?
Well, thank you very much if you do say that. I'm away for my birthday for the weekend and I'm over in the country and the internet isn't that great here. So we might not be coming across in the best quality that we usually do here on Game Bet Match. So I apologise for that if it is a little bit different than usual, but we'll be back covering it a little bit better as the Wimbledon Championship continues. But this is the show looking at the draw. The draw's just been made. And on this show, we're going to go through the outright markets, look at the best bets on the tournament, who is the value. And like I said, it is a very lopsided draw. Sean, I know you're in attendance in Wimbledon. You'll go in this year. The first time since we've done this podcast that one of us will be at Wimbledon.
Yeah, I've not been for years. I can't remember the last time I went. You can get tickets. I mean, I can run through the process for people that don't know and have wanted to get tickets. I'll quickly talk about the process. If you want to go, first of all, you've got to enter the ballot, which is done almost a year in advance. So as long as you enter that ballot, it doesn't matter if you don't get tickets. You probably won't. I didn't. It's actually better for me not to get tickets because they would have given me two as a pair for one day, which is not what I want, really. So you get a maximum of two tickets if you're successful. If you're not successful, then they do this thing where they give you the opportunity to buy what they call returns at a later date. It's like April, May, June, early June, just before the tournament. So if you're prepared to go onto your My Wimbledon profile, click on tickets and keep refreshing that page for what could be quite a while, you do get a decent opportunity. Frequently these tickets come on, and if you're quick, you can grab them, which is what I did. So I've got tickets for the Monday, and I got tickets for the Thursday. I don't know how long I spent in front of a computer screen trying to get them, but it is possible. You can do it, but you must enter the ballot. If you're not successful, you will get another chance, and it's perfectly possible to do if you've got some patience. So I'll be there Monday, centre court, I think, on Monday.
Oh, lovely.
And Thursday, I think I'm on number one court. It's just that those are the ones that I was able to get. So, yeah, not been for quite a while. We'll see how my patience lasts on day one of Wimbledon. It might not last too long, but let's see how it goes. And, I'm happy to be there for the first time in ages. It's been probably about 10 years since I've been.
Well, you can follow Sean's day at Wimbledon or a couple of days at Wimbledon by following us on our social media account at Because We Win on Instagram and also on Because We Win on Twitter. You'll be able to see Sean's bets, exclusive content on there, give him some picks as he's at Wimbledon. Will you be taking your umbrella? That's the main thing. What's the weather going to be like at Wimbledon? You know, the days of Cliff Richard singing, and that's all gone now.
Well, those days are gone anyway because of the roof on number one and centre. So those days, thankfully, I hate singing. I can't stand Cliff Richard either. You'll probably not be surprised to learn. Unlike the vast majority of the crowd at Wimbledon, who all love all that Cliff Richard stuff, it's not for me. But that must have been 20 odd years ago now. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? He did that.
Congratulations.
And let's not remind me of that. I can't be doing with that. The weather looks all right for the first week anyway. The advanced weather forecast only goes up to sort of the end of the week, but it looks all right. Doesn't look like there's particularly any real rain in the forecast. So, yeah, it looks set fair.
Wimbledon set fair. Over the years, obviously, last year, Carlos Alcaraz won this tournament. It's got slower and slower as the years have gone by. The quick courts of Wimbledon of the days of Boris Becker and all the grass court big servers, Krajicek winning it, all those big going Ivanisevic, Pete Sampras. Yeah. Those days are long gone. It's not as quick as it used to be, is it?
No, it's not. It's been getting slower year by year, and people complain about it. Nick Kyrgios, well, he likes to complain anyway, doesn't Nick? But he's been very vocal about the fact that it's just not, he calls it not turf anymore, I think was the quote that he used. It's not grass. It is grass. It's just a lot slower. I'm not sure 100% how the process works in how they've slowed it down, but it doesn't really matter. It has been slowed down. Last 3 years, averages 83% holds and 73% first serve points won. That if you're taking those stats, that makes it slower than most of the grass tournaments. Eastbourne is comes in slightly slower than that. And I think Newport was a touch slower than that as well, strangely, because that felt like it was more of a quick, low bouncing surface. But statistics tell us that it's getting slower. There's more tie-break matches, but that's purely because they play 5 sets and therefore obviously a much higher chance of there being tie-breaks in the match than the best of threes. We've got some trends. You won't be surprised to hear this. The number 1 seed has won 6 out of the last 9 editions of this tournament, mainly because the number 1 seed's been Novak Djokovic. But 4 of the last 6 runners-up have been priced between 16-1 and 80-1. Kevin Anderson was 80-1 when he was runner-up here a few years ago. So the runners-up haven't, they've all been decent double-figure prices. I've got a couple, as you can probably imagine, to go out this year.
Yeah, let's have a look at the draw. Let's break down the draw. We've done the conditions, look at the weather. The weather looks good. The draw has come out, and what it has produced is produced a very lopsided draw. You said number 1 seed has got a good record here. Novak Djokovic, obviously a 7-time Wimbledon champion and 24 majors in total. Number 1 seed this time around is Jannik Sinner, starting as the number 1 seed for the first time at the Wimbledon Championships. But the draw he's been given, I don't think he could possibly give more difficult. He opens up against Hampton, and in round 2, he faces fellow countryman, former Wimbledon finalist, and the guy who was favourite for Wimbledon, or second favourite. Sorry, wasn't he? No, he was favourite there was favourite the year that Djokovic didn't play, and then he got COVID himself, wasn't it? Was he favourite?
I think he was second favourite. I think Djokovic did play. I think he was second favourite, and then I'm not sure if that was the same year, but he did have to pull out in the first round because he got COVID one year. Yeah, you're right. I can't remember whether that was the same year that he was second favourite or not, but the year that he reached the final, I think he was about 16-1.
And that person is Matteo Berrettini. We never mentioned who it was. You may have second guessed there, but
you did say Berrettini.
Did I? Oh, okay. Yeah. That is what I mean. That in the second round of a major playing Berrettini, especially grass at Wimbledon, that is a tough start for Sinner.
It is. I mean, I did think I was prepared to come on this show today and say to you, Jannik Sinner, all day long, he's going to win this tournament. Now I'm not so sure. I still think he's the most likely winner, but the price plus 175, I think he is, isn't he? It doesn't really fit the draw that he's got. I probably could have lived with the plus 175 if he had a decent draw, but he doesn't, as you said. I mean, first round Hanfman, he should win that. Not necessarily easily, but he should win that. If he does get Berrettini, and I think, let's be honest, I think most neutrals will be hoping it is Sinner Berrettini, won't they? You want to see it, don't you? If I was at Wimbledon, which I am going to be, but probably not on that day, or maybe, I don't know. I would want to see that match. It could go Berrettini's way. It's early season grass at Wimbledon. It's not been played on. The first week is notoriously the more difficult, lower bouncing, slicker, about as quick as it gets at Wimbledon. That's going to be a tough match. You would fancy Sinner to beat Berrettini if it was a 4th round, quarterfinal, semi-final, and Sinner's got his eye in. But after one match, that could be tricky. Let's say he wins that. Probably have to play Talon Griekspoor again. You probably win it, but Griekspoor on his day on grass, a very difficult customer. Ben Shelton is another possibility for the match after that, if he finds his form on grass, which he hasn't so far, but he may do. And then you've got either Dimitrov or Medvedev. And after that, you got Alcaraz, and all that is just to get to the final. Yes, Sinner's capable of doing it. Yes, of course he is, but plus 175. I suspect you'll probably get a bigger price than plus 175 in play at some point. I doubt he's going to breeze through all these matches, the Berrettinis, the Dimitrovs or Medvedev or Alcaraz. It's too short a price now. As I said, what's going to come on this show? Say Sinner, job done. But now, the draws made me think twice for sure.
Well, let's have a look at that draw. Obviously, you've got Sinner, the number 1 seed, as you said, Berrettini and Griekspoor standing as well. We have Jarry, we have opens up against Shapovalov, we have Ben Shelton, Dimitrov, who's in there as Struff, an unseeded player who could do well as well. Medvedev, Alcaraz, semi-finalist, and DFO, Baez, Humbert, Tommy Paul, Bublik, Navone, and Casper Ruud. So the route for Sinner is, without doubt, very, very treacherous. The surprising thing in the other half of the draw, we have to name Novak Djokovic. all sort of last 3 weeks, we've been led to believe that Novak Djokovic isn't going to participate. He's in the bottom half of the draw, and he has been given a very, very easy draw for a man who's been in for his 8th Wimbledon championship. What do you make of Djokovic playing this tournament? He must be fit. Don't think there's any concerns there, and I can imagine him being quite popular.
It would be some feat, wouldn't it, to win this after a couple of weeks or whatever it is, 3 weeks, whatever it is after knee surgery. You know, it would be incredible. I just don't see it happening.
But would he play? Would he play at this time of year if he never thought he could do well? I mean, why would he risk it?
It's his place in history, I guess. He wants He wants these majors. He wants to put a big old gap between him and Nadal and Federer and say, look, I'm not being funny, but I've won 25, 26 Grand Slams here, and there's still debate about who's the best. That's the motivation. I mean, he may not play. I mean, I imagine he will, but I mean, Andy Murray's in this draw, and he said he probably, he might not play. You know, there's always late withdrawals. I would guess he would play, but the reality is he was injured in the French Open. It's not like he was playing great before then. It's not like he was coming in here in great form, then playing great at the French Open and got injured. You know, everything was a struggle. Everything's been a struggle for him this season. It would be some comeback this to overcome not having a good season, then overcome a knee operation and then win Wimbledon a few weeks later. I don't see it. I really don't. But his draw, as you said, he couldn't have asked for an easier draw really in the first section. Echeverry as the seed. He couldn't, if he was handpicking that, he probably would have chosen Echeverry. Nobody else in there that looks particularly capable. Holger Rune, maybe, or someone like Kashanov, maybe Eubanks if he decides to find his old form. But his biggest test, you would think, would come from either de Minaur or is it Felix that's in there? Yeah, it's Felix, isn't it?
Yeah, Felix.
Yeah, the early draw. The point you're making is it's a very easy early draw for Djokovic, and I agree, but I think it's a massive, massive ask for him to win this tournament. I certainly would bet him at that price if that's the question.
Well, we'll come on and give you the prices in a second. We'll just give you the draw. In the Q3, we have Rublev, Sebastian Korda, Tsitsipas, Fritz, Draper, obviously doing very well, and Alexander Zverev. I'm sure Alexander Zverev will be popular with a lot of people as well, and that's in Q3. In Q4, we have Hurkacz, Cerundolo, de Minaur, Holger Rune, Khachanov, and Djokovic. So that's the bracket, and as we can see, Sinner, Alcaraz in the top half of the draw with some very dangerous opponents. In the bottom half of the draw, doubts about Novak Djokovic fitness, and obviously there's going to be some value. And remember, Bet Rivers are offering half the odds 1-2 in this, so you each way half the odds 1-2. If your player gets to the final, you get half the odds of their win chances to win the tournament. Let's give you some odds. This is it to win the Wimbledon Championship. Jannik Sinner plus 175. He is the favourite despite that really, really difficult draw. Carlos Alcaraz, the defending champion, he's plus 250. He's the number 3 seed. He's the French Open champion. He's bidding to win the French and Wimbledon in the same calendar year. Novak Djokovic, obviously, is 7 times Wimbledon champion, 24 times Grand Slam champion. He's plus 325, but he's had knee surgery coming towards the end of his career. Wasn't in great form at all going into the Paris. Didn't play well at all there. He's plus 325 to win at Wimbledon. Alexander Zverev in Q3, he's 17-1. Herbert Hurkacz in Q4 is 20-1. Scott Draper is at Jack Draper. I keep calling him Scott Draper.
You have done that a few times, haven't you?
I've done that a few times, yeah. Jack Draper at 25-1 in Q3. Obviously, performed brilliant performances at Queen's Club where he beat the Wimbledon champion Alcaraz. Medvedev in Q2, he's 25-1. Alex de Minaur, not the money for him in the build-up to the tournament, 30-1. Tsitsipas 30-1. Then Berrettini, Dimitrov, Tommy Paul, the Queen's Club champion at 40, and Taylor Fritz at 50-1. So that's the list of runners and riders. The market is still dominated by the top 3, Sinner, Alcaraz, Djokovic. Sinner and Alcaraz, only one of them can get to the final, so we know one of them's going to go. There's major problems with Novak Djokovic, as you touched on there. So where's the value in the draw?
I think you've got to find a player in the bottom half. And that player for me is Hubert Hurkacz. I just think he's just so difficult to break on grass. He's held serve 97% of the time on grass in his last 10 matches on this season. 97% holds. The best you're going to get on that basis is a tie break. And he plays well in tie breaks. Having said that, he should have taken the first 2 sets against Novak Djokovic last year when they met in, I think it was the round of 16 last year. Both of the first 2 sets went to tie breaks. Hurkacz was ahead certainly in one of them. I think he was certainly ahead in the first one. I think he was ahead in the second one as well, and he choked it. He could have been 2 sets up on Djokovic. Hopefully he'll use that experience this time around if he faces Djokovic again, which he may well do. Just looking at the draw, I think would be in the quarterfinals, wouldn't it? If Djokovic gets that far, which is questionable. The 2 obvious ones for me, or 3, if you want to throw Zverev in there. I'm not keen on Zverev on grass. He's never made a quarterfinal at Wimbledon yet. He wins the same number of return points as Hurkacz does, 31% on grass. Zverev, I just don't fancy him on it. I don't like his movement on it. I don't think he particularly likes or trusts the surface that much. I prefer Zverev on other surfaces than grass. Hurkacz and de Minaur do look like the obvious ones if you're having a punt in the bottom half, which I would suggest you do because it looks way, way more open, as you've said. Andre Rublev's got a great draw, but you wouldn't fancy him, but given his record in Grand Slams, not sure I fancy him that much on grass. He's perfectly capable of it, but he'd have to overcome the mental barrier that he seems to have in quarterfinals. But yeah, Hurkacz for me. I mean, he's the obvious choice in the draw. Yes, he needs to improve his return game. Maybe the fact that Wimbledon is slightly slower, maybe that will help him get into a few more return games. He definitely needs to improve that return game. He's thinking about winning it, but I do feel like he's got an excellent chance here. De Minaur is the other option, as I've said, but I just feel with de Minaur, he's got to play great every match. Hurkacz doesn't necessarily need to play his best every match. As long as he's serving well, he's holding 97% of the time. He can afford a sort of scratchy one off the ground. De Minaur can't. He has to play well. He showed it against Musetti. I know he was tired against Musetti at Queen's Club, supposedly. But I just mentally, I just don't think de Minaur believes in himself as a Grand Slam champion or Grand Slam finalist. I don't think he's got that in him, or doesn't seem to have it in him mentally. That is. There are a few other options. Jack Draper is an obvious one. Again, it's the physicality with Draper. I keep saying it about him. He looked tired when he lost to Tommy Paul at Queen's the week after he'd won Stuttgart. And if he wants to win this tournament, he's got to win Stuttgart and win Stuttgart. He's got to do it twice over the longer distance. And he talked about the mental fatigue. He said physically he was fine, but mentally, he said it's hard to keep doing it day after day after day after day, which is what you've got to do to win a Grand Slam. So that for me counts Draper out. I just don't think he's got the longevity, the stamina, be it mental or physical. But there's a few wild cards that could go well here. Korda is another one. He'll probably do it this year after he lost in the first round for me last year. Won't be surprised if he went deep.
Well, I was just about to say that, Sean, because wasn't it the year before we did we bet Hurkacz, or I bet Hurkacz on the? I'm sure I definitely was on Hurkacz 2 years ago, and he got first round as well. So our Wimbledon picks in the last 2 years have both got out in the first round. So surely we got to do better than that, have we?
Well, I mean, who's Hurkacz got in the first round? Radu Albot. I mean, if he loses to Radu Albot on grass, I mean, I might retire. It's don't take me on my word for that. No, it shouldn't happen, should it? It really shouldn't. With Korda, there was a danger with Vesely. Vesely, huge server on his day. If he fancies it, he's up for it. He's dangerous. Korda is an obvious one, as I said. Rublev's got a good draw. Just not seeing him as a Grand Slam champion. Tsitsipas, nothing on grass, really. Taylor Fritz is an obvious possibility. He's in Q3 as well. But as I've said about him many times, I don't like the fact that he just hangs around at the baseline, doesn't come into the net. I think that's holding him back. Zverev, as I said, I don't fancy him on grass particularly. So for me, Hurkacz and de Minaur are the obvious choices in the bottom half. I've got one in the top half as well, but bottom half for me, 20-1, I think it is, with Bet Rivers each way, Hurkacz.
20-1 each way, 10-1 to make the final. Hurkacz's service stats are off the charts on grass, and he's going to be a very difficult opponent. And if Radu Albot beats him in round one, that'll be the final betting weekly game bet match for us, I'm sure of that.
We'll have to quit, won't we?
But we'll have to quit. I've bet a couple in the bottom half of the draw already. Like before the draw was announced, I'm delighted that they've been placed in that draw. I'm on Jack Draper. What if anybody's
it's
my
not like
age,
Scott Draper's particularly famous either.
I know. I keep thinking of Scott Draper. He was a Australian, was he? Aussie, wasn't he? An Aussie.
He won
tennis
Queens,
player.
didn't he? Won Queens randomly as an unseeded player.
In about 1987.
It was a long time ago.
Jack Draper, Scott Draper. Jack Draper, I've already bet. I hope I haven't bet Scott Draper. I would be in trouble if I bet the wrong Draper.
You would. You'd have to quit if you did that.
I still think he beat Rado Albot, though. I must admit, Scott Draper.
He's probably about 56 by now.
It's still beat Rado Albot. So I've bet Jack Draper, I've bet Alexander Zverev, and I've bet Alex de Minaur. And all three of them have gone into that bottom half of the draw. So I'm hoping I may get a bit lucky and get one of them in the finals. So our official pick on the show is Hubert Hurkacz. That's 20-1. That is our official play.
That's from the bottom half. We haven't talked about the top half yet. Yes, in the bottom half, yes.
Now we're going to go to the top half. So the top half of the draw, obviously, we've got Sinner and Alcaraz. I think that they may be on a collision course to meet in the semi-finals. But Sean, I'm judging by the way you're looking at this. You may be looking to oppose them given the routes that they may have here.
Yeah, I mean, Sinner, as I said, I was about to come on this show and say, right, Sinner, let's have it. All in. He's winning this tournament. I still think he's the most likely winner, but that route that he's got, he can overcome it, but plus 175 to do so. That's too short for me. The one I like here is Tommy Paul, the Queen's Club winner. I actually had a little bit of a pizza money on him before the grass season even started, actually, 150-1. It was just a pure punt on the basis that his coach keeps saying grasses should be his best surface. Tommy Paul himself has talked numerous times before this year saying that he loves grass and he should be most effective on it. So I just took a chance at 150-1 for a few farthings each way. And I still think he's decent, about 45-1. The reason being, his stats are as good as anybody in this field, apart from the top three, Sinner, Alcaraz, and Djokovic. Apart from those three, his stats are as good as anyone. They're actually slightly better than Hurkacz is, based on this season. He wins more return points, different profile. 85% holds a serve rather than 97, but he wins way more return points, 38%. Now he's confident. He's won a big title, Queen's Club, which is, you can't overlook the winner of Queen's Club when you're talking about Wimbledon. The thing that's kind of tipped me towards him, he's got a decent record against Alcaraz as well, 2-2 win-loss. There have been some very, very tight matches, all played on hard courts. I just wonder here about Alcaraz. I'm never keen on players that have won the French to then come and win Wimbledon as well. It's a very short turnaround. He's gone and he's won the tournament of his life, the one that he always dreamt about winning. He's done it. He's gone to Ibiza, had a laugh with his mates or whatever he's done over there. Come back, played Queen's Club, lost early. Yes, I'm not saying he's going to take this. I'm not saying he's not going to take this serious. I just feel like it's a difficult emotional thing to do, to have that, then come back so quickly and perform at your peak again on a different surface so soon after that. So
he's also Sean. He's also going to got the Olympics where he's going to play with Nadal, isn't he, as well? So I mean,
that's coming up as well.
That's a massive distraction heading into Wimbledon. That's going to be a lot of media attention on that. That's going to be a big, probably the highlight of his career, probably forever, playing Nadal with Nadal in the Olympics. So that's a big distraction here as well. Wimbledon might not be the priority. The priority was the French Open and maybe the Olympics as well. So
I mean,
I agree with you.
The French was definitely the priority. Sorry, mate. Yeah, the French was definitely his priority. He wanted. You could see he wanted to win that just by how nervous he was, not just this year but last year. You didn't really see that much at Wimbledon when he won Wimbledon in the US Open. You didn't see that same level of kind of this is my dream that we saw before he won the French Open and when he won the French Open. So all these things added up. Obviously, he's a massive contender. Obviously, he's expected to make the semi-finals. But if you take Carlos Alcaraz out of that section, I mean, who have you really got in there? I mean, Casper Ruud is an auto fade on grass anyway. So he's out of the equation. Tommy Paul really should be making, just looking at this draw, he should be making the quarterfinals from that section. There's nobody in there that you would think he would lose to. Bublik, maybe if he has a great day. Humbert, maybe if he can find some form, which he's completely lost at at the moment. TFO's still in the doldrums. I'm not seeing anyone in there that would worry me as from a Tommy Paul perspective, other than obviously Alcaraz. So I'm looking ahead to Tommy Paul in the quarterfinals. You know, he would potentially have to play Alcaraz, but not necessarily. I think he's the standout each way bet in the top half, 45-1 with Bet Rivers.
Yep. So there's two big prices there to oppose the top three in the market. The market is dominated by the top three: Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, and Novak Djokovic. And we've gone for two players at big prices. In the bottom half of the draw, we've gone for Herbert Hurkacz at 20-1 to come through Q4, go all the way to the final. He's in that Q4 with Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic is a fade for Sean and myself. I think he'll be popular with the bettors because they'll just look at Djokovic in Q4. But when you think about all the trials and tribulations he's had getting to this tournament, to take plus 325 seems very, very risky. And in the top half of the draw, we're going to go for Tommy Paul, the recent winner of Queen's Club. A few people have gone on to win Queen's Club and won Wimbledon. Carlos Alcaraz did it last year.
Loads of people have.
Boris Becker, very famously, Andy Murray, Leighton Hewitt, people like that. So will Tommy Paul be the man to do the double? 45-1 with Bet Rivers. Remember, head across to the Bet Rivers website. There is a huge amount of markets available. Some specials as well to win the quarters, a whole load of match betting. Don't worry about the matches. We'll have you covered on that. There'll be a podcast dropping tomorrow with the best bets on round one on the men's singles from Sean and I. And that'll be there tomorrow. Head across to the Bet Rivers website for the multitude of markets there. Remember, if you do place a wager on the first round at Wimbledon, you'll be able to bet live and watch live with Bet Rivers. Say across all the different coverage we have here, give us a subscribe to our YouTube, or follow us on socials on Because We Win on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios, and download this podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, on your preferred podcast provider. That's it, Sean, for today. That's the outright market looked at in the men's singles. Apologise again if the quality of this video isn't as good as it has been in recent weeks. It's because I'm on vacation. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and it's just the internet isn't that great here. So we've had to revert back to our old ways. So sorry about that, but normal service will resume next week. Sean, good luck. I'll speak to you again tomorrow when we'll go through all the best bets on round one. And good luck with the bets and break that draw down. But it's a very lopsided bracket. Top half outweighs the bottom half. Take care. And tomorrow we'll be back with best bets for round one.